there's no visual display for this one anyway. This was all going to be, I wanted to do impromptu Dissect-a-Song tonight, where you guys think of songs to do. But we'll get to that eventually. I feel good with that there. And we are coming to you again from Woodland Lakes Christian Camp.
Hopefully next time we'll be at our house.
Maybe. I have nothing against the camp. Like, I love the camp, and I want to be here because it's a nice neutral location. And no strange people are going to want to come to a strange person's house. You know, if we invited people from outside the camp, it's a little different. And maybe if they saw it online, like, oh, okay, I know those people, or I know that place now, and it's familiar. But at least there we would know that the internet connection was stable, and we could actually do it live. Like, we could broadcast it live.
Or we could bring our router.
You'd have to have like a bunch of different stuff.
Well, it's still the internet connection. Like, we might have a better router, but the internet connection is the part that's dropping in and out. So
yeah, the router is completely fine.
Yeah,
like it could be 20 years old and it still probably work just as well.
Yeah, it's sending out the radio signal of whatever internet connection it gets. It's the modem connected to the outside world. That's the problem.
Which imagine they probably did just like cut off the internet on purpose, so it's really bad, so that people are tempted to get on their phones.
So that if people are lost out here and they're being chased by some psycho guy, then they can't. You know, what are they gonna do? You can't do anything, and that's the whole point of Woodland Lakes Christian Camp. That's what they're all about here.
How did you know what I did this weekend?
What?
How did you know what I did this weekend?
There is some validity to the let's keep people off their phones thing, but a lot of camps have switched to a no phone policy anyway, and they try to keep an eye on it. And it's password protected, so you shouldn't really know the password. We'll be displaying the password at the bottom of the screen. So
here's the password 1-900-490.
You can use it towards us and not to either camera.
1-900.
Yeah, I think you're in this one if you're back a little bit. I tried to set it up so you were like that. And this one kind of over my shoulder, but we've been having so many issues. Okay, you can stop me. We've been having so many issues with like the editing and the camera angles and the styles of the cameras we've used. We've tried different formats and different cameras, and here we are, the third episode, and we still don't have one live on YouTube, which is very unsettling to me. Because if I'm like still telling people week to week that I see like, hey, check out Big Acronym, you know, you see what we're doing, and they go to bigacronym.com and it says what to expect from the Big Acronym show starting in September 9th, and here it is the 23rd. So maybe it'll just be like this week, it'll all just explode and appear there, and whatever it is, but
hopefully that's what they can do.
We're missing a thing.
we are, and it's word association.
Yeah.
We're not sure what happened, but it fell off. So dark blue is word association.
So the website, so the Big Acronym website is basically like our Google site that I made for our channel. Because like I made it in late 2016, and then I did a little bit stuff in it in 2016. I waited until early 2018, and then I was like, oh wait, this is also showing the video from 2 years ago. Changed it.
Or the Think Direction website. That's also.
Oh, that's still a website. Is that an actual website though?
Yeah, there is a website. It's called adoptedanepilepticdogtoday.weebly.com.
Weebly.com.
Because I'm not about to spend money.
Or if you made a Wix website.
Well, we did make a Wix website. Hunter made one.
Oh.
And it's a little bit better.
Just make.
Hunter wants us to spin the wheel. He's online right now. I don't know if he can hear me or not, but he's saying to spin the wheel. So go ahead and spin the wheel.
Good.
Instead of an actual website like that, you just make a PowerPoint. Say this is our website. Just get a Google Doc and put some images on it.
Get Google Sheets.
Yeah.
Just get Google Sheets.
Are you still on yours? Is it muted on yours?
No, I think I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Of course.
It's the first every time.
That's
Okay.
just, it's meant to be, always. I don't think we should even try spinning it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a given that we're supposed to push the button.
Yeah, it's.
Who
it's
recorded the
always
button
fake.
this
Owen
time?
did.
I did.
This is your...
Yeah, it might be a little bit hard to understand, but okay.
Okay, well, good luck with that.
was trying to do like,
Yeah, great.
okay, it was like me and some other guy, and we're like,
Some other guy.
we're like from Brooklyn, and we're like having a conversation.
Hopefully we don't ever have to push that again today. Because
I think we can go to state of mind. What
Yeah.
was he thinking
if it
of?
ever becomes, he was somewhere in Montana when he thought
Yeah.
that.
I'll try to repeat with the basic voice. I was like, so you
No.
so you see, I was at the courthouse, and then I met this guy. He was ripped, and he just looked at me. He looked at me, and he says, "Why you here? What you doing here?" And I says, I look him dead in the eyes, and I
I'm
says,
offended already.
"Get I was trying to Brooklyn accent, and it turned awful. Cause like with the
I love,
get
like,
oaf part, it like turned Australian. It was like get oafed.
If you have to explain it, it's probably not an effective button sound.
Probably.
So just use that as a
See, mine was
benchmark.
one word, and
Exactly,
it
yours
worked
is
for
perfect.
everything.
That's what we need, are little one-worders that we can throw in the button.
I was thinking of that.
Not
But
a bear.
Alright.
So mean.
Okay.
maybe next time I should do it again to redeem myself.
No, Bobby gets to record it next
Yeah,
Okay.
Bobby's next, and I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be 10 minutes long. I'll be-
Like he just does it in segments. Like he records it, gives it to us, goes into another room, records the next part. Like
He's just gonna
It's,
say
it's
the
a book.
entire
It's just
script.
gonna be a book.
No, he's just gonna
It's
say the
gonna
entire
be an
script.
audio book.
Just the entire script.
Insert entire Spider-Man 3
It's
script.
gonna
here.
be. It's gonna be
There
him
she
trying
is.
to
Mary Jane Watson.
Alright, so moving on, let's get to, well.
Spin the wheel
how-
again?
No, we're not spinning. How was everybody's week? I didn't ask you yet, if it was a good week.
I went to Taco Bell on Friday.
Good.
Or was it yesterday?
It was Friday.
Okay.
I forgot your Taco Bell.
Yeah, finally.
I
deserve it.
did nothing over the weekend or during the week.
Wow, really?
It's a yard sale.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
big yard sale
We had
weekend
a
in
yard
our
sale
neighborhood.
today.
You
Saturday.
said, oh yeah, today.
Yes,
Bobby?
we had.
Fue muy bien, mas no quiero ir a escuela.
Okay, Google.
I said
That's
very
too
good.
bad.
I said it was very good, but
Uh,
I didn't want to go to school.
good, not
Every
for
day.
you. Not good for you.
Ah, gracias.
Hello.
I continued doing too much stuff. In fact,
Yeah.
that's probably why I didn't get to editing anything, because I was so busy during the week doing other things.
And because of that, you need help from some 8th grader.
I do, and you're doing all right. You're learning a lot. So,
Something to improve quality of my own videos. You should
I
see
know
my new
this
video.
stuff.
You should watch it
so today is
at this link.
a very interesting section, because in some people's Bibles, I don't know if both of these say the same thing. Yeah, they both do. Both of these say it. The title sections are different. That 1 Peter 2, some of them, starting at verse 13, have a separate section called Submission to Rulers and Masters. And then in some Bibles, they don't put that little subsection in there. It just starts in verse 12 and goes through to the end without any other categories there. Or a different category. I don't remember what the other one says. It might be in the version that we have on here, on Discord. No, it doesn't say it on here. But we're reading from 13 to 25. So let us read 13 through 19. So I'm going to read that first.
Let's see.
Well, you can slide it over if that will help you at all or not. That one's smaller than that one. That's a little bit bigger, I think.
You're right, that just
Fine. So what is it again?
Verses 13 through 19 of 2 Peter 2, or 1 Peter 2.
Okay. Looking.
Starts with the word submit.
Okay, I found it. Submit yourselves for the Lord's sake to every authority instituted among men, whether to the king as the supreme authority, or to governors who are sent by him to punish those who do wrong and to commend those who do right. For it is God's will that by doing good you should silence the ignorant talk of foolish men. Live as free men, but do not use your freedom as a cover-up for evil. Live as servants of God. Show proper respect for everyone. Love the brotherhood or of beliefs. Fear God. Honor the king. Slaves, submit yourselves to the masters with all respect. Do not only to those who are good and considerate, but also to those who are harsh.
Okay. So clearly we don't have the same access to his understanding of slaves as they did at that time. The people who are reading this would understand slaves a little differently than we do. But how does it make you feel hearing verses talking about slaves and masters? What does it stir up for you?
Well, from what I heard, it said that he's saying, hey, you have to obey this person and only this person. Like, forget about all these people, just obey the king and no one else but him. Which,
And is that good or bad?
it depends on what kind of king he's talking about.
You would think.
Depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Well, hold on to that thought, because that's the way we would interpret it, that you should listen to and obey the rulership of someone that seems to be giving you the right commands, right? I mean, that's kind of the way you're saying it, right? Like that if we're being commanded to submit to authority, and that authority is bad, then it's okay not to submit to it. That's a general understanding that we all have, right? I mean, that's just kind of the way we look at it, right? Does anybody disagree with that? Like, if your parents are like mean, awful parents that won't let you do anything and make you sit in your bedroom all day long in the dark reading the Bible and, I don't know, but like making photocopies of brochures talking about how the world's going to end and distributing them out all day long. Awful tyranny kind of things. You would then say, okay, my parents are crazy, I don't have to listen to them. As soon as I can, I'm getting out of here, right? I mean, like, that's your first inclination is, okay, they're not jiving with what I think is the right way to be, so it's okay for me not to obey, right?
Yeah.
But is that the case? Do you think that has always been the case, or do you think that's just an American thing?
Probably just an American.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like stuff that's written in the Declaration of Independence. That's what they're like. They're like, oh, if they're bad, then you get the right to rebel.
Mhm.
That's written.
I don't know why, but I had this feeling that if you had your own country and you had your own laws, one of them was every movie theater must show Spider-Man 3. Every show in movie Spider-Man 3.
It'd probably be a mix of Spider-Man 3 and then, what's it, Rio.
Real.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would not have suspected that.
Yeah.
That's,
An alternate movie.
And
You just have like the
there-
blue bird like flying across the screen during Spider-Man.
that bird is actually, that kind of bird is extinct recently.
Oh, really?
Well, because they haven't made any more of those movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not making any more of the movies. They're kind of like, and I think it's because Brazil isn't watching it because they hate it. It's banned in their country.
I thought it was because
Yeah.
they milked
It really
they milked that
They
cow.
kind of messed up the Olympics too, so.
I thought it was because they milked that cow dry with the Rio franchise.
They could have done more. That's banned
They
in
made
Brazil.
2 movies in a Wii game. I think they're done.
They could mix that with Spider-Man 3 and have Spider-Man 3-0.
Ooh.
And you have Peter Parker get bit by a bird.
A radioactive
that was bit
bird.
by a spider. So he can fly and shoot webs.
I was gonna say it's like you edit Spider-Man 3, so it's like you take out Spider-Man and all Peter Parker scenes and Spider-Man scenes. Or it's like the B-movie memes, where it's like every time you see Spider-Man shoot a web, it plays the Rio movie, and every time you see the bird fall, it starts at the same place in the Spider-Man 3 movie. It keeps doing that until both movies are over.
Wait, the bird falls a bunch of times?
Yeah, because he can't fly for like the first
Oh, yeah.
95% of the movie.
Yeah, that was a big part of it.
It's banned in Brazil because it puts off the vibe that every like second in Brazil, they're always partying.
Mhm.
And so the leader now,
That's
Michel
racist.
Temer, is like, okay, yeah, no, we're not gonna deal with that movie. So he
Yeah.
can censor anything he wants.
Puts a bad taste in people's mouths.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Of feathers.
people with bananas in their hair and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I mean, that is what Brazil is,
That
but
doesn't,
we'll talk
like,
about
all it is.
that's what the Americans view it as, but like, people
Dirty
outside, I
Americans.
think, outside of the US think, oh, these people are just, they're another sort of people, they have their holidays, and we have ours.
Yeah.
We really can only know what we've grown up with, to know our understanding of government and rulership and what to abide by and who to follow. There are countries that, you know, you're born into a country that has known nothing but anarchy and rebellion, and like you wake up every day waiting to see if your parents are going to go out and start throwing Molotov cocktails or something. Like that will be your life. You know, that's the way you would see the world is, oh, we're fighters. We fight the government. We don't obey the government. We fight it, and that's all that they would know. So they would be like, why are you listening to your rulers? Rulers are bad.
But then for us to be like, our rulers are fine, we
Yeah.
have nothing wrong with them, they've done nothing wrong with us.
Some
Yeah.
would say, well, on the contrary, we've had a few, yeah. But that's a political argument, and I don't want to get into a
Yeah.
political argument.
But
So I don't know why this is coming to my head, but I learned something today that's like, people have done this and I don't know why, it's really stupid. Apparently some YouTubers, like, they've taken the country that they've lived in and like, they switch the country on like their YouTube account, the one that says that they're from, they switch it to something else, so that way they can get viewers from the country that they live in and the one that they say that they're actually living in.
Yeah, eventually that algorithm will get shut down and it won't,
The algorithm.
it'll be against them to do that.
Yeah,
and then there's the new YouTube algorithm that's happening.
that's weird.
The one where it's like helping a certain channel grow just so they can get viewers in India. To be Facebook.
Oh yeah, T-Series.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're 3 million views away from becoming the top subscriber channel.
I'm looking forward to it. That'll be
I know,
great.
right?
Who wants to read the second half so we can see the closure to this? Okay, I'll read it. I'm gonna read it from BibleBot.
Yay, Biblebot.
So you ended on you ended on 18. For it is commendable if someone bears up under the pain of unjust suffering, because they are conscious of God. Ooh, that's a twist. But how is it to your credit if you receive a beating for doing wrong and endure it? Because you deserve it. If you did something wrong, you deserve to be beaten. But if you suffer for doing good and you endure it, this is commendable before God. To this you were called, because Christ suffered for you, leaving you an example that you should follow in his steps. And then he quotes, he committed no sin, and no deceit was found in his mouth. When they hurled their insults at him, he did not retaliate. When he suffered, he made no threats. Instead, he entrusted himself to him who judges justly. He himself bore our sins in his body on the cross, so that we might die to sins and live for righteousness. By his wounds we have been healed. For you were like sheep going astray, but now you have returned to the shepherd, capital S, and overseer, capital O, of your souls. So he's giving the example that some slaves get punished for doing things they shouldn't do, and it's right for them to be punished because they did something wrong. But how much more important is it to endure punishment when you know that you're doing something right and your masters and rulers still punish you? Like, what if you feel that you're living a good life, yet you're still being taken down by the man? And
Maybe because his perspective of good is different than yours. So maybe you doing something like helping people escape the thing of slaves,
Like never go around.
that to you would be good, but to the slave master,
Sure,
that
yeah.
would be bad.
right. And I mean, that also would be an American concept, because to them, slavery was just a part of like they were indentured servants that were working to pay off debts or because they owed something to someone or whatever. A lot of the slaves they weren't like captured slaves necessarily the same way that we look at slavery.
Like some of them would
So
be
they-
prisoners of war, but
Yeah,
that wouldn't be
yeah.
like the most of them.
Right, and so there's not as much of a thought of escaping slavery ever really brought up. You can be freed, your master can set you free or release you from slavery, like if they feel that you have fulfilled a debt or whatever, or that you have earned your.
Has
your
it ever
freedom.
happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened all the time.
From all the
Like-
stories, because like in school, obviously they only tell us about like the bad stuff and how like they would never set them free. They'd always torture them, and no
Right.
matter what, the only way to escape, the only way to get out of it is if you escape and
For
disobey the law.
American slavery, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
as we refer to slavery in the United States, we're referring to people who were traded and bought and sold in an illegal market to come to the United States so that they can just be forced into work.
Yeah.
But
Honestly, they could pay it off. Like some slave masters would pay them like a penny a day, and
Yeah.
eventually, when they had like 999, they'd eventually be able to pay their way out of slavery.
But in some countries, the term slave is referring to people who are indebted to a person, they can't pay off their debt, so they have to work for them until they pay off their debt. That's a form of slavery, it's an indentured servitude agreement. So there's a lot of that in this too, but what he's focused on is not anything to do with you being a slave, he's focused on how you accept and endure punishment while you're a slave. So if you have a master, whatever you're doing, there's a master involved, where you are submitting to the rule of someone ahead of you. And that person decides to punish you. Now we flip it into two different categories. They're either punishing you because you did something wrong, or they're punishing you because they're wrong, because they're evil. You're doing something good, you're doing things that are good in the eyes of the Lord, but yet you're still being punished. Those are the two categories. If you're doing wrong, your master obviously has a justified reason in punishing you. If you're doing good, while it may seem like you should be upset and you should want to fight back because, hey, I did nothing wrong, I'm doing something good. I'm doing good in the eyes of God, I'm doing good in the eyes of the country, in the eyes of, like, whatever. I'm doing good, but you're still punishing me because you're bad. Peter is suggesting that you should still endure that punishment and still accept that punishment as in sort of like a reward way, that you're suffering in the name of something good. And I think he's trying to translate that from a literal slave master situation to just us in the world situation. Like, you're going to endure points in your life where you feel like you're doing the right thing, but you're still getting beaten down for it. And if you're willing to endure through that, you're showing your goodness and your devotion to God in that moment by having that ability. And that's a big deal. For Peter talks about suffering a lot in the text, but that's the angle he's going on it. So thoughts on that? Anything? Awkward silence.
All of a
Spin the wheel,
sudden,
Nora.
it seems like no matter what you do in slavery, the slave masters will always think it's bad, even if you think it's good. No matter what, to them it will be bad unless it's like
And
in
that's-
helping them in some economic
But that's
way.
you and your American concept
Yeah,
of slavery.
exactly.
That's, you can only see slavery as.
Oh,
Okay.
I have something for this.
Do you really?
Yes, me and Owen were talking about this
Okay.
earlier. Veggie Tales.
VeggieTales.
Yes.
I've never seen Veggie Tales.
You've never seen VeggieTales?
And I
It's
showed
not
him an
good.
example of the kind of things that they do, because there's like a DVD in there.
Oh, wait,
It was like a
okay.
Sherlock, okay, yeah.
For those
I-
listening audio, the wheel spun too, you've never seen, which is where someone discusses a media topic, movie or TV show.
I've never seen Descendants 1 or 2.
Okay.
You've
well, I
never
did.
seen Trump's inauguration?
VeggieTales, which one you got there?
The one we found, which is the example of how weird, that's how weird it can get.
Sherlock Holmes and the Golden Ruler.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of those like thematic ones where, like, I think they had a whole series of Sherlock Holmes
Yeah.
videos.
Like,
where
sort of like
Larry's-
that one, was it sort of like Indiana Jones?
Yeah,
What was that called?
something cute. Like
Um,
Mississippi Cuke, I think.
Yeah, I think it was Mississippi Cube.
I know it's Cuke. That was the.
And then they also had Larry Roy. What was like that was.
In the Spanish class we watched VeggieTales. So we learned the word for cucumber. He was like, what's that? What's that? And then he put it on the computer. He was like, Mira El Pepino, something like that.
Yeah, Filipino. I think I know this one.
What's up?
Minnesota.
I just heard movement upstairs, so I'm just like, I'm kind of curious. Bye.
It's a ghost.
Keegan.
Minnesota Cuke.
Minnesota Cuke. I know we were close.
And then,
Well, yeah, it was because he was like making fun of the
oh, there's
state.
more than one.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a different state. But yeah, there was
And
more
then
than one
Noah's
Minnesota Cuke.
umbrella, there's a bunch of them.
Oh, I thought only two.
What do you suppose those are like if you've never seen one?
Well, from what Owen's telling me, is vegetables learning about lessons in friendship and
Well, that specific
Pirates who
video
don't
is
do
about.
anything. Though.
Yeah, that's one of the best ones. The pirates who don't do anything.
Yeah.
The
Did that even really
VeggieTales.
have a religious theme, or is that just the
Well, the song was just one of the silly songs.
Well, I mean, like the whole movie.
The movie was the Jonah movie. The original one was the Jonah movie, and then they spun off of that with the
Yeah.
pirates having their own thing. But that was during that phase where they had moved from just being like Bible themes to we're reaching a bigger audience now, so we need to kind of like generic it a little
Good
bit.
manners.
Yeah, let's dull it down and just be good stuff and not necessarily Jesus stuff.
Oh, is that saying that Jesus stuff is a good stuff?
No, because they were expanding to a broader audience, and then like they got bought by another company, and it just
yeah, because you were
it took
talking
this whole
about
different
that
direction.
decree when we were up at the cross about VeggieTales.
Yeah, and now VeggieTales is no more really. Like you can still like buy the DVDs, but there's no new content as far as I know being created for
Do you,
VeggieTales.
do you want to do a hairbrush song?
Yes.
Well, we could maybe dissect it because we're going to be dissecting some songs, but I don't know that that song really works at all with the theme. But
We'll sing Barbara Manatee.
that takes us to the Dissect-a-Song, which is what I wanted to do today. I didn't put any points or pictures or things to look at on the screen because I wanted this to be a Dissect-a-Song.
Yeah.
Something we used to do, excuse me, something we used to do in the old big acronym was these Dissect-a-Songs where we would take a song, a popular song. Oh, that camera just stopped, Les, if you can. We take a popular song and
Butcher it.
you butcher it. Yeah, you break it apart. So I wrote some things up there, like little cheat sheet things. You need to find 3 phrases in a song. You need to decide what the hook is. There's batteries down there.
And what the Waluigi board is.
The WJWI is Would Jesus Whistle It? Like, is this a song that he would advocate for in one way or another? And then thumbs, do you give it thumbs up or thumbs down, and why? But these
What
are
about this?
not Christian songs necessarily, they're just songs in general. Like, most of them were just like Billboard top 100 songs. But I didn't pick any out because I want everybody to think of the first song that they think of when they hear the phrase submission to rulers and masters. Like, what's the first song that comes to your head? Because I have one that came to my head immediately. Always comes to my head when I think of
Rulers and masters.
Related or non-related? Because there was already one that I had thought of, but I don't think it's related at all to what we're talking about.
Well, try to think, like, clear your head and think of a song that would be in the theme of submission to rulers and masters.
I don't listen to our music system.
You listen to no music.
It's an awkward silence.
It is.
Better spin the wheel. Oh, Leslie's gonna spin it.
Leslie White.
There it is.
Yeah.
You guys gotta keep it.
I didn't know my own.
We got 200 points while we're
points.
waiting. That was a good spin.
400 points now.
What is it?
I'm glad we had like awkward.
So it's 200 more points to nothing.
So I had to roll it again? Or
No.
put it again?
No, we're good. We're good. We're good.
Leave it.
We're good.
Don't worry. Stop.
Okay, so
You
we're-
never-
I really have nothing. I can't think of it.
Trying to
Far
think of
West
a
to
song?
Local. Or a couple.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Far West. I don't know how to say it in English. Like poor dude. It's like a poor dude. I don't know what capital means. Like in English, I know what it, like. I have a picture in my mind.
Okay.
It's like a.
So it's like a song about a poor
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Can you look it up to play it for us?
It's like.
Because we'd have to be able to analyze the
10 minutes.
lyrics too.
It's like 10 minutes.
Okay, so that might not be the best,
Yeah,
the
probably.
best
Yeah.
one to.
I'm gonna look up the song I think of.
Okay, well,
I still think of the same
It's not gonna
song.
be good.
what is it?
It's Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You
Because
Up.
that song's just burned into your
It
head.
basically is.
All Star.
Who would be the ruler and the master and Never Gonna Give You Up?
I have no idea.
So in the
This
music
is what-
video,
this is what I think
Obama,
of.
Isn't it?
Oh
And
no.
he does the big jump and he like touches both his feet.
Well, there's an ad for
I've seen the
clicks.
music video like 50 times, but
Obama is in the Rick Astley video?
This is what I think of.
random
A
dude
different
that looks like
version of it?
Obama.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna unplug the microphone so it actually play because it counts as headphones.
I know it's fun.
It's not working.
Nope, it's sure not.
Total Africa.
You guys are a broken record. Still nothing?
No, I really can't think of anything.
You don't ever think of any songs as being songs about rulers or
Honestly, no, I just-
leaders or authority?
No.
No?
That's probably what you're looking up right now.
If you do like the Snapchat filter, the alien one, where like makes it like pitch go up and down, and then you do that to it like again and again and again.
Yeah, my
It's great.
sound's like broken.
But you have to like set
Well,
the
then,
my speaker-
I'm just gonna have to play mine,
Yeah, I think my speaker's broken.
and then maybe this will inspire you guys. I don't think there are any bad words in it. It's an old 80s rock song. This is the official video for it.
Never mind.
That starts with a. Doo-doo-doo-doo. All right, well, we got. Oh goodness, we got some technical issues. Hey, what's up? We got some technical issues worked out to where we can actually hear the music now, and it's ready to go, so that you can be inspired by Twisted Sister to hear a song.
I have
This-
a twisted sister.
This is the song that I think about when I think about submitting to rulers and authorities. So the music video is what made it popular. That there's this dad, and he's like really mean to his kids, and he walks in the kid's room and like chews them out. Like, this is what I did when I was your age, and you're not doing anything. What are you gonna do with your life? And the kid says, "I want to rock," and he slams
Marty
the car.
McFly.
Yeah, kind of a Marty McFly.
Marty McFly in the making.
So we're gonna listen to it through the Bluetooth,
Not the Bluetooth.
not through the Bluetooth.
It didn't. I said it didn't work on my speaker.
Oh.
But my speaker's just loud.
Yeah, why is mine not loud? That doesn't make any sense. So while you're listening to it, you're gonna try to listen for 3 distinct phrases in the song that stand out.
I have the first one already.
Yeah,
Give me a refill.
I sure will.
Thank you.
And then the hook, which may be one of those 3 phrases, or it may be something different.
Which I have up there, the 5-minute intro
Okay.
to the.
Yeah, because
It's
Well,
actual
fine.
song.
It's
be
a- it's
thinking
all-
of it. There might be something else that hooks better after you hear the song.
seriously,
Yeah,
it's a
probably.
whole 5 minutes. It's like, what do you want to do with your life?
And the original song didn't have that intro. It's just the music video that had the intro. And then
Oh,
WJWI, would Jesus whistle it? So you're gonna
I got
answer.
some, can you get
is-
it for me?
Excuse me. Is this a kind of song that
in any kind of way promotes a positive message that Jesus would advocate for, and then we rate it thumbs up or thumbs down and why. So go ahead and play it and keep those things in mind. Use that as your cheat sheet when you. If you need to.
Okay. Oh crap. We have to cover up Fago.
Cover it up, boy.
No copyright. You're still showing it. Just turn the bottle.
Alright, give me a
Well, yeah,
second.
'cause I'm trying to get money.
So we just finished We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister, because I have to cut this because we
Yeah.
can't play the whole thing, because of copyright laws. But we just finished listening to We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister,
Twisted Sister.
released in 1990. And what were your phrases that stood out?
We're not gonna take.
We're not gonna take it. This is kind of one of those like bar chant kind of songs where you just say
Yeah.
a few phrases over and over again. That's definitely one of them.
For me, that stuck out was, if you're doing your best, then your best isn't good enough. I think that's how it was worded, something like that.
Yeah, give it to you exactly.
Oops,
No,
accidentally clicked on something.
no.
Stop.
That was actually in the recommended for that.
If that's your best won't do.
That's
That's
what.
the phrase. Anybody else? Bobby, you were the other. Anybody else?
Yeah. I don't know what
I'll
else.
just sit.
Nice.
I breathed in a lot of that. So,
Read the mist.
All I need is mist.
What did you say? What?
the word no.
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 Definitely said a lot.
Yeah, there's a couple times that they repeat or they say something about fighting, either will fight
Yes,
or
we'll
weird.
fight. That's what I
You'll
wanted.
see.
And because like the reason that stands out to me is because it wasn't always used in the same part of the song, where it's always in the chorus. Will fight. It's like part of a verse here and part of a bridge here. Like fighting is the theme for him in the song, and it comes out in the way it's done. Like the song has that kind of like you just want to put your fist up kind of thing.
Sort of like the rock and roll.
So Lucas says that the 5-minute intro was the hook to the video to the
Yes,
song,
definitely.
which you would only get that if you watched the video, but.
Yes.
I think
Or
you'd have to reduce it
lengthy.
down. It wouldn't be the entire 5 minutes. Would be
Yeah,
the hook.
probably
You
not
have
the
to
entire 5 minutes.
It's the end of the video that hooks you to the song. If you just heard the song though, the hook would just have to be the chorus because the chorus just goes over and over.
Yeah. Like the We Love Rock and Roll.
Yeah,
Cause it's like,
I love rock and roll. Yeah,
yeah, you
but
do love it, don't you?
for like I said, my sister and I used to listen to this, and the part that we always remember was from the video where he says, "What do you want to do with your life? Like, what do you want to do with your life?" And the kid says, "I want to rock." Like, just those two lines together, like, because you would hear that as a kid. What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life? And like, that's never going to be the answer. I want to rock. Who's going to say I want to rock? So that became the hook for us. Was that line?
Like, what are rocks worth anyways?
I know.
Everywhere.
And we would get rocks. People would give us rocks. I'd say I want a rock. And here, yeah, and it was never enough for me. So, would Jesus whistle it?
No.
He
Nora
probably
says no.
whistled the beginning with all the dialogue in it.
That would
He's
be
like-
hard. Yes.
He's like, it's like Satan talking to Jesus, and Satan's the dad. He's like, what do you want to do with your life? Like, I want to be the Messiah. Blast him out the window.
Just bass boost it up.
I can already see it.
Yeah, I can picture that.
I would say that he would because it's about good vibes and
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, what do you want to do with your life? I want to
Plus, it's
do
catchy.
something I want to do."
If you reduce a song down to just the "We're not gonna take it," no,
And
we're
them
not gonna take
all-
it. We're not gonna take it anymore.
But
that could be anybody, any theme for anybody that like wants to not take something.
but the one part he probably wouldn't is both fight because he really didn't want to fight.
What?
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, there were times where he was angry with people, but he didn't like physically fight them necessarily. He wanted his people to stand for things, and so I mean there's like a mental fighting involved, I guess, but not like
Yeah.
physical fighting at all for sure.
Do you think that people who are anti-vaccine would listen to this? We're not going to take it anymore.
They never took it, so
Yeah.
it would be we're not going to take it from this point on, nor in the past. We're not going to take it because we haven't yet.
We're not going to.
We're not going to take it
Because
anymore.
we haven't yet.
We're not going to take it anymore would imply that they took a vaccine
Yeah.
and then they're done.
Like they took it
got
to get
they got the booster, but they're not going to get the follow up or whatever.
They got the peanut butter, didn't get the jelly. If you know what I'm saying.
So nobody feels like this is like a totally negative, awful song. And then, for the most part, it's just a generic "let's fight for what we believe in" kind of song. All right, thumbs up or thumbs down? What do you say?
Diagonal.
Diagonal.
Well,
from
I
other.
would say thumbs up because if you really look at the '90s, this is what it was.
Really?
Oh wow.
From what you remember of the '90s.
I'm gonna point it on myself.
Okay. I'm gonna say up because I like. Ooh, she's drawing a thumb. Well, it was.
What is that?
It became a meat tender.
I don't know how to draw.
It's a
That's
pink.
good enough.
It's
You
a
got it.
pinky. It's like
Yeah, you're getting there. That's-
yay.
you know,
This is a finger.
It's a cartoon hand.
That's
I got this.
okay. I can see it. Yeah, big pinky there.
Let me try.
It's like it's
No,
upside down.
we're good. We don't need more thumbs.
It's
We'll let
upside
Nora try.
Does
Let me
anybody
try
have
just
another
trust you.
song, or are we gonna have Bobby play his and translate it for us?
I picked a different song
Okay.
I can play it.
because
It's not 10
it's
minutes.
easier, and I just I wrote the lyrics down and I plugged it into
Google
Oh,
Translate.
okay.
Translate
Okay.
because I forgot.
Wait,
Is it still with the theme?
speaking
okay.
of Google
The
Translate.
first
that's
words are
that's
the
a
first
question.
words are Terry Swift's Miles Jamie, and that means take your hands off me.
Ah, perfect. That sounds like a hook to me.
This is a question I had. Well, actually, not a question, but it's a notice. If you have a song that's like in a different language, like not your native language, then and then you translate it, it kind of ruins the song because it most likely doesn't rhyme then.
Yeah, like the words wouldn't have the same meter in a different language
Yeah.
because some might have more syllables than others.
Yeah.
That's what makes it tricky.
Here's
The
my
songs that can translate and still fit are
Translate.
really well.
But
Everything-
I think it was
Everything in Portuguese or Spanish rhymes like with everything because it all ends with O or A, like all the nouns.
or S.
And then
or E if it's everyone.
S. No, it's S.
No,
Oh,
it's
technically
E.
E.
I don't think we need to argue this.
Yeah.
So here's the song I thought of. Like it just popped in my head as soon as I thought of it.
Well, he was in the middle of
Yeah,
one.
he was
okay.
gonna do it.
oh wait,
I thought you just wanted to say that one line.
Are you going to read the lyrics or are you going to play the song too?
I can play like the beginning of the song.
Okay, well tell us what it is so that we can intro it and then cut it out.
Yeah, we
It's
gotta.
called Serra by Legio Urbana. I don't think it's copyrighted because they kind of made it publicized or something like that.
I don't want to take chances.
Things.
Yeah, no chances. This took us too long.
Yeah, really.
With Unity, I just risked it. It's like that's it. It's like the Wii's culture in it.
Wait, hold on, I gotta line it up with the lyrics. Take your hands off of me, that I do not belong to you. You're not dominating me like this, that you will understand me. I can be alone, but I know very well where I am. You may even doubt. I think this is love. Is it They just. Oh wait, no, that's the chorus.
Whose hands are on here?
That really long Spanish.
And then the rest of it kind of just gets into like a love song. I don't know.
What's- Yeah, it sounds like it's like a fight for affection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So the ruler would be the girl,
yeah. And
which
then,
that's a thing too. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
what's the chorus?
Sarah.
No, I mean
Sweet,
what,
you know.
what,
In
what, are the,
English.
what are the words in English to the chorus?
Oh, will it just be imagination?
Well, you have it on your phone, Bobby.
It was right
You
there.
literally just had it.
Does it look like a hole?
Will
this
it be
isn't-
only imagination? Will nothing actually happen? Is it all in vain? Will we be able to win? That's the chorus.
That's like the Matrix.
That's a
I
D.
think the Matrix is what we live in, and that
Will we ever be able to win the Matrix? I don't think we will.
Yeah. And to be honest, I never actually
I
had
don't think
an
any of these
actual
big acronyms are ever going to be uploaded.
Yeah. I did them all in one day.
Okay.
To be honest, I never had an actual song that fit it. I was just gonna do a joke, but it's like whatever.
Okay, what all?
I thought I now actually have an answer, but I didn't think it would fit very well because it's it's the American sort of slavery, and even though it's a meme, I'm being dead serious. Like, can't stop me now. That specific line from "Cause I'm having a good time." Whatever. I don't know this. Hold on.
don't.
Shoot.
Yeah, that.
Star.
What?
Hold on.
Don't Stop Me Now by Queen.
Yeah.
Can't.
By Queen?
Yeah. It was in
Hold on. Whoa.
Suicide Squad. That's what it was in.
Get that queued up. We'll try to.
We're a little bit over time here.
Yeah, we're pushing it right
Yeah.
now.
It's these two lines over here. Not this, the rest is like.
My dad can play this on piano.
I don't remember how to play it on ukulele.
So just that one line you think fits, the rest of it not
Yeah,
really so much.
I mean the rest is kind of talking about how like they can overpower you basically, or something like like your reign over them basically means nothing to them, I guess.
Oh.
Kind of.
I think it's just that he's in the zone. He's
Yeah.
playing that piano and he's like, can't
I'm
stop
just
me.
like he just gonna say
The
gibberish.
music's just gotten me. It's got a hold of me.
But it's probably what Owen said is that like there's somebody over him, but they have no power on what he does, and he doesn't
No, like
care.
that you're if you're in the zone, you're in control of your own destiny, and you're gonna. I mean, that's a pretty common theme in music with a lot of American writers for sure. That
But-
if you're feeling what you want to feel, nothing is going to stand in your way. Like
Yeah.
no wall is going to.
Beside the music industry,
Yeah,
which
well, sure,
nowadays
but-
is like you gotta watch out for that stuff.
You sure do. Do we have any other full-length songs that we could break down and do on the board so that we could see Leslie draw another thumb?
I have one, but it's like
I
20
need
minutes
to
long.
watch
What is
So-
it?
I-
Don't
So
cry for
are
me,
you never
Argentina.
gonna give you
No. Wait, no, it's not.
Dora,
It's
Dora,
like-
Dora,
it's like
the
5.
Explorer?
That is not the song that
It
is.
definitely doesn't fit at all.
That is.
No.
Yes.
No, stop.
No.
Yes.
You know what?
No
Just
Minecraft songs? Okay.
Is that Minecraft?
Yeah.
Is that Minecraft?
It's
There's
Despacito.
some
It's
Minecraft.
Despacito 3.
Ugh.
You know what, Nora?
I
Just
really wanted to dissect another
Just-
song.
Press the button.
yeah, just spin the wheel.
Give us another wheel spin.
Yeah.
Nora.
Yeah,
Just
we
give
want
us a
something
topic.
to talk
Give
about.
us a topic.
Even if it's something we've already done, I don't care.
If it's something we've already done, spin it
It's
again.
probably our worst podcast yet.
Probably, but
But it can only go down.
only go.
Yeah, it-
So all we can do is
War
shovel.
association.
It's even better. We have nothing. to say.
Yay! What was the last one?
You know, I don't even remember. I was
Oh,
going
it
to
was
ask you.
toilet paper. But we said it would
Yes,
just be paper.
it was just be paper. That's right. I could remember dog and then feces.
Yeah. And then toilet was what Hunter said, and then Luke
Okay.
said toilet
So
paper.
paper. Okay. Airplane. Cupcake.
Bread.
Butter.
Grilled cheese.
That's 2 words again.
Fine.
So it's just grilled.
Grilled.
That's what it is.
Grilled.
It's grilled.
Sure.
I can
Grilled.
remember grilled.
I did not cook 2 words.
I wanted to point out something about this. I really wanted to like tie a whole message together with this. That culturally, anything that we think of, and I was really hoping you guys would all think of a song that had something to do with authority.
Mine kind of did.
That
The first one did.
from our perspective as just American citizens, when we think of authority songs, we think of they're all rebellion songs. Like there are no songs that I can think of that are about hooray for our president and the good things he has done, or there are no songs like that that like would even stick in your head to be like, let's cheer and celebrate. Like in England, you know, they've got the song to the Queen, and like, you know, they've got things that they're going to say.
Yeah, really, she has no power. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
but they still look at it that way, that
Yeah.
she is a figurehead, and they have a song that reminds them of respecting her authority. In America, we don't think of songs about respecting authority because all we've known is we need to rebel against the British, and we need to fight against the powers that hold us back, and we need to strive to get whatever we want. Like, if that means taking new land, we take it and we fight for it, and those are the songs that we know, are fight songs, right? But then as Christians, if we take our identity not as Americans, but take our identity as Christians, anything that we would think of in the Christian realm for authority is going to be the opposite. All the songs that you can think of that have to do with authority, if you're thinking from a Christian standpoint, are about submitting to God. Like, that you're allowing His authority to be, like, I surrender all to you, or, you know, those kind of things. That we have, like, an American side that's the rebellious, I want to fight, and then we have the Christian side, I'm going to respect and adhere to and submit to. And I think that's what makes it, one of the things that makes it difficult for Americans, is that we didn't grow up like a kingship or that kind of authority that you just respect and honor and revere no matter what. We've lived in a country where you vote for people, and if you don't like what they do, you vote somebody else in, or you try to kick them out of office, or you write new laws and you change it. We didn't grow up with, well, he's the king, and his family's always been the king, been in charge, and we listen to their authority. And I think that makes a difference. And I think that you guys should comment on that, because it's a big deal to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the opposite of, like, Americans versus Christians, like you just said. It's basically the opposite. Like, Americans think of fight songs like, you know, authority's bad, we should rebel, we should have our freedom. And then Christians are like, respect.
Right, but so you have a dichotomy in your head, a separation between one half of your brain and your emotions are in fight mode, thinking of authority, and the other half is in submission mode. So as long as you're thinking as a Christian, you're thinking, I'm going to respect and submit, but then your other half of your body says, no, we don't do that. This can't be right because we don't submit to things. We fight things. But if you grew up in a country where you submitted to a king your entire life, I think it would be easier for you to look at God as a ruler that you could just submit to and respect as he is, and not always question, well, does God really say this to me, or does he say this instead, or why does the scripture say this when really I feel this way about things? And I think that we really need more freedom, and God understands that freedom. You know, like, we're going to continue to fight it because we grew up with that fight system of we need to make it work for us now versus we need to just accept what the rulers have said to us.
Mm-hmm. Especially in places like over in England, back in like when the colonies were there, they all thought, well, we need to be under this guy because he's the only one who's protecting us.
Yeah.
Because if we are not with them, then they're probably going to attack us and we're going to lose. Because it's like we're a newfound place and we need people to be under and stuff like that.
Like you need authority and power.
Yeah.
And
so,
even if you were being forced to pay taxes that seemed unfair, or you were being forced to give of your land or whatever it was, if the king asked of it, you did it because the king said so and you respected the king.
and it's like in the long run, even if you give it to them and people are mad with you, in the long run, you're going to end up still not being like completely wiped out. Because like you're still going to be attacked no matter what side you pick. It's just that you want to pick the side that's more like, okay, we're with you more. We have like a little more resources. We have a little more people and stuff like that. It's nothing like, oh yeah, they're above us. Like some of the colonies were like, yeah, they're above us. We want our authority because you guys are taking our land, our tax, our money, stuff like that. You're breaking into our homes and stuff like that. But then the other colonies were like, well, if they're doing that, at least they're protecting us. Because like the Indians are right over there, they could come over, attack us at any moment. And like the brink of government for the colonies was on like edge of tipping over, like a cliff basically, because they could go to war with one another easily at that point because over just land, because the British was taking it.
Yeah. Your perspective has so much to do with your history. Like, whatever you grow up knowing affects how you perceive the world around you.
Yeah, like if we were British, we'd know something completely different about the colonies.
Yeah.
Than if we were American, because it'd be like, oh, they were taking us over and they were destroying our land and stuff like that. But for the British, they were like, it was
those
our
jerks were never obeying us.
They put our tea in the ocean.
It was our land first. They had no right to just take it over. They were citizens of England.
Yeah, the whole thing is based on perspective. No matter what, everyone. Like, how many times do you think that like?
The sky? Yeah, it's pretty out there.
It's beautiful.
What's up?
The sunset is pretty. Neither of the cameras is getting it, so.
Yeah.
Is that a cloud sneezing?
I was asking what's
You about to
up.
say something?
What Lucas said, it wasn't our land first.
It
It was
really
the
wasn't.
Native
It
American.
really wasn't.
Are we just
even
gonna get
the
into
first.
Hall?
So it was all like, we
Either
got
person.
here, we're like, hey, get out of our land, British people.
Yeah.
And the Indians were like, hey, get out of our land. And we're like, what?
So everybody's got some ruler ahead of somebody saying something that you don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
And it's all about perspective.
Oh,
And we're not going to take it anymore. So that was the submission to rulers and authorities. Can you scoot back a bit? Yeah, thanks.
Sorry.
It's good. This was sort of a short segment. The next week is about husbands and wives, so that'll be real fun. I wanted the next one to be the first one that like families get invited to, but I really thought we'd have more people here by this point that we
Yeah.
invite families too, and one of the families is already here. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it could still
Bring
happen,
your dog.
but we'll probably just hold off on it for now and just do a normal one about husbands and wives, and then
It's
try
like
again.
let the trash can never keep Daisy in there.
Anybody have any final comments
no.
about this sad, disjointed, difficult podcast?
Yes. I hope next time is better, and if it's not, I'm playing Despacito on Alexa.
And we will all walk out. All right, well, thanks
With our
for
heads
watching.
down.
And we'll see you again next time.